Good afternoon, this is Nicholas from Gandora Gaming, and this is my discussion video on the brand new archetype that just got revealed. So if you don't know, 2 days ago, or maybe more like 3 days ago if I remember correctly, we got introduced to three brand new archetypes, and the one we'll be discussing today is Momento. Now, we don't know much about Memento, but Memento does look promising just based on the artwork alone. That's all we got. But it's the same thing with Wild Survivors, where they give us a hint of what each archetype does, and then eventually they'll reveal what they do. So with Novellas, they said like monsters that had to deal with attack position or something like that, and then Bam had to do with tribute summoning your opponent's monsters. Thus, it was ritual tribute deck. Vanquish Souls, it had to do with different types, which of course it does because they play there can only be one, and it's a very UA like play style that has to revolve around attributes. I think actually in its lore text, if I remember correctly, it actually said the power of attributes or something. So fire, earth, dark, reveal them. There you go. And then finally, for the dinosaurs, transcendent drakes. And it's something about vanilla monsters, and here we are. Has to do with vanillas. Here we are. So yeah, let's actually go over what we can get from the artwork and get from the description of the Memento cards and see if we can get an idea of what the deck does. So I'll be honest, we're going to be probably very far off, but based on the artwork, as you can see on this big Memento dragon, that it could be three different archetypes. It could be zombie, dragon, maybe even fiend, but it definitely screams zombie to me. As you see, it's a skeleton dragon, really badass looking, really cool. Debatable what it does. Based on its description, which I'll read again to you right now, this can kind of determine what it ultimately does. Alright, so let's go over the actual inscription. So basically, Memento is an enormous monster that revives itself from oblivion. So right there, that already screams graveyard synergy. That already synergizes with banish zones. So personally, what I really think this archetype could be is a new banish-focused zombie archetype. And you're probably wondering, why would I say banish instead of graveyard? Zombie's always been a graveyard-focused archetype. Well, we just got brand new cards that came out this new set in the form of the new zombie fusion. So if you don't know, we actually got some pretty interesting new zombie support in our newest set. And in this newest set, Monsters Revenge, we have basically a branded fusion, but for zombies. But instead of sending the grave, it banishes from deck. And the reason why that might be important is right now we really don't have a good fusion target. Right now we only have, of course, Necroface, not Necroface, Necro King, the super poly target. It requires two zombie monsters. It's not really a good boss monster. It's cool to super power your opponent with, but it's not cool to just like hard summon it, especially if you're not absolutely using cards from grave to do it. Because usually you want to banish, or let's say you're refusing summoning this guy, you want to dump zombies in grave because that's usually how the synergy goes. But I have a feeling this archetype is going to be based around the banish zone, and the reason why is because that brand new fusion card, like I said, banishes a zombie from deck. And some of those zombies we're getting actually have banished synergy. So what I think is going to happen is that Memento is going to be a fusion zombie-based archetype that revolves around the graveyard in a banished zone. And it's going to be playing the new fusion cards that we just got in the newest set. And that's the reason why Konami printed those cards. We were kind of wondering, like, this is kind of like random support they kind of gave us for zombies. It doesn't really have a home yet. It's a really cool support, like really cool zombie, interesting mechanics, but it doesn't really do anything on its own yet. So what I think Konami is going to do is that they're going to make a whole new zombie archetype based around fusion summoning from the banish zone. And maybe they all revolve around the banish zone, where they like summon themselves from the banish zone, kind of like Goaty or something. I'm not really sure where this archetype can go. There's multiple ways Konami can go at it, but I definitely think it's going to be a fusion-based zombie archetype that revolves around either the graveyard or banish or both. It has a high likelihood. I just feel like Konami wouldn't be printing out these really powerful zombie cards that just came out with no home for it. Like, the only archetypes I can see playing these new zombie fusion cards is Shiranui, because that's the only other zombie archetype that currently exists that wants zombies banished. Like, usually when you banish Mizuki to summon out the zombie, you want a way to shuffle that Mizuki back onto the graveyard. You play things like the level 3 XYZ that like returns banished cards and stuff like that. But zombies really don't want their cards banished. Like, they hate macros. There's a reason why zombies isn't in this format, because Kashtira literally curve stomps that archetype. But if we have a new modern day zombie based theme that's based around banishing cards, well, then we might have a whole other story on our hands. And we can still play cards like Doom King and things like that, and maybe we can just revive zombies from the banish zone instead of the graveyard. We can have like a really cool, like, interesting mechanic where, like, oh, you thought this is zombies that revolve around grave? No, we revolve around the banish zone. And I don't know. I feel like there's some like really really cool potential there. I could be far off the mark. This could be a completely. This could be a dragon archetype for all we know. But as what I see in front of me right now, these cards, like, this card looks like a zombie, and it looks like a zombie. The description basically is a description of a zombie monster, a monster that revives itself from oblivion. Like, the only thing I can think of is either like the banish zone or the graveyard. If it's the banish zone, then it has synergy with the new zombie support we just got in the newest set. If it's the graveyard, well, then it's just more generic zombie support for normal zombie decks. So either way, it's a win-win. If it's from the graveyard and it's like graveyard synergy, that's cool. If it's from the banish synergy, it's even better, because if it's banish synergy, the Bystials won't hurt them. If anything, Bystials plus them. So one of the other big issues with zombies right now in this format is that they are one of the archetypes that live and die by the Bystials. Bystials really, really do dampen your day. If you have Barrock and Grave, they'll just summon a Bystial, banish your Barrock during the standby phase, and bam, there goes your win condition. That's one of the other issues with zombies right now. The Bystials kind of curve stomp zombies, and Kashtira in the format basically is just macrocosmos on legs. So zombies can't really do much right now in this current format. But if we get a new zombie base archetype that revolves around the banish zone, that's using fusion cards from the new set that we just got, then I can actually see some huge potential. And I don't think anyone's really talking about these new fusion cards. I think they're going to be really, really cheap out of the set. I think everyone's going to be gutting for that new tuner monster. We'll have a whole discussion video on the Monsters Revenge set. But I really do think people are underlooking these new zombie support cards. I think they're going to play a huge role for zombies going forward for this new archetype, Memento. Now, I could be far off here. This could be just me speculating, which it is. This is a speculation video. But in my personal opinion, I really do think this is the future of zombies. If this is an archetype that's based around fusion monsters that are based around reborning from the banish zone instead of the grave, or maybe like a little bit of both, like they have graveyard and banish zone synergy, kind of like Shiranui, but just a modern take of the deck. I can absolutely see this deck doing amazing things, especially if it's a fusion-based archetype, because guess what? The best fusion-based archetype you can mix right now is Brandon. Brandon can play so many different fusion decks, it's ridiculous. And if this zombie fusion card that banishes cards becomes basically Zombie's version of Brandon Fusion, and just for Memento, I can definitely see a Memento Brandon Fusion archetype coming out. We already have a branded Predaplan deck, and we already have a branded Buster Blader deck, and we already have a branded the new Mythical Beast. Is that what they're called? The Mythical Beast archetype that's coming out, the Illusionist. Yeah, that's going to be a new archetype that's coming out playing the branded cards. So there's a lot of already like splashable branded engines. If Konami wants to keep branded alive, or let's say they do and eventually put Branded Fusion to 1, well, a good way to make that deck still relevant is just make a new Branded Fusion card, but for zombies, and just have the two decks mixed together. I can absolutely see that working. We'll just have to see. Until next time, hope you all enjoy. Don't do anything stupid and tell me in the comments what you think about the new archetypes. Until then, I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.